5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Last Minute Continue Game of the Year Awards for 2022. I am once again joined by the illustrious Turbo.
Greetings!
And the ever wonderful Shadowfox.
Ahoy hoy.
And I, BFUT, who's just here and supposedly the host of the show for some reason.
Undead host.
But yes. But I would not imagine doing this without my two favourite people in the world to do this with, because they're ever reliable and ever, honestly, the best people to talk with this about, because they are the ones that probably have the most breadth of gaming for the year.
Probably the most varied, I think.
Well, that and also like the easiest people you can just grab off there and just say, hey, you, come into the studio now.
I would love to actually get us into a proper studio and do like
properly.
One day we'll have a meetup and we'll sit around an actual round table and do like a 30-minute, 1 hour something or another.
So yes, rules and regulations as per usual. No games we've worked on. This only really applies to me, but does actually apply to one of the bigger games this year. And only games released between December 2021 and November 2022, because we're recording this early December, so it's a bit unfair for some of those December titles if we only take games released in 2022. But yeah, this year seems to have had quite a lot of games, like fairly big games, come out, I think. Do you two agree?
It's definitely been a harder year for me to decide what's in my top list, because I played more than 5 new games this year, which indicates that there was a lot of good stuff this year.
Oh yeah, there's been quite a lot this year that was on the calendar year. I mean, granted, there was a lot that I didn't even get a chance to play at all.
Oh, same.
Oh, yeah. There's more in the list I would like to.
Yeah, definitely. To be fair, my top 3 were easy enough. My 4 was fairly solid. It was actually my number 5 that gave me the most trouble. There was about 6 games that possibly could have fallen into that one. It was like, how do I justify this one?
I'm still umming and ahhing if my list is going to change during this show.
Fair enough. Well, our order for this year is Turbo, myself, and then Shadowfox. So, Turbo, would you like to start us off with your number 5?
Right, okay. So, starting at the bottom with myself is a game that, is relatively, new to the year, being that it came out in October. And it's been the long-awaited, third entry in a trilogy that I was looking forward to for the longest time. However, and until I got to the very end, I was having a good time, but then certain things just knocked it down further and further, and my enjoyment of it was a bit diminished, but not enough to make it outside of the top 5. And that is Bayonetta 3. So yeah, Bayonetta 3. Obviously the third entry published by, well, technically published by Sega, but it's actually published by Nintendo, with Platinum Games developing it again for pretty much. This is them capping off a very long trilogy. This is like 10 years this series has been going for. So having like 3 entries be kind of like spread across a 10-year period. I mean, it's not unheard of because there are other games that have done that. But
yeah, the original was a 360 PS3 title, wasn't it?
Indeed, yeah. In fact, actually, what was it? I just recently saw a PlayStation book that is like 100 games before you die, or 100 games you should play before you die. And Bayonetta 1 is part of that list, even though it's not exclusively a PlayStation title. It's been, you know, put along with all those other titles. And really, you wouldn't recommend getting that the PS3 version to play Bayonetta. But regardless, Bayonetta 3, I was really looking forward to this. I was really hyped for it. I was like intrigued of how things were gonna go in terms of like the character of Bayonetta and what kind of like combat would be introduced and stuff like that. And it does introduce some new things to spice it up, spice up the gameplay a little bit. But then, just weeks before its release, a lot of kind of like brouhaha happened that at first kind of soured my anticipation for the title. But then certain things came to light, obviously it's obviously he said, she said kind of like mentality and things, and I just said to myself, all right, you know what, I'm just gonna play the game, gonna see how it is, and then I'm gonna determine my enjoyment from there. I don't care. I've been waiting for this for the longest time, and I'm hoping that this is gonna be good. It was good until there was a moment. There's moments in the game where you're playing as another character. Now you got Bayonetta, but then you've got this new character called Viola, and Viola's combat is different to Bayonetta's. Where if you've experienced Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, you would know how that kind of like combat style is. Where in Metal Gear Rising, you got a parry system rather than a dodge. You do have a dodge system, but the dodge system is not the key factor. The key factor is parry.
No witch time for the second character, I'm guessing.
Yes. Well, actually, no. There is witch time, but it's activated via parry. But that's the problem. It's like me, and it's actually more simplified in Bayonetta 3 than it is in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, because in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, you have to hold the stick in the direction of an attack and then press the action button, or like the vertical slash or whatever, and that will engage your parry, and that's a case of timing it that way. This time around, it's an actual button, and just so long as you're facing in the direction of the attack, you can parry it. But even then, I've realized I'm not a big parry guy. It's like I'm not a big dev parry guy either. But
I mean, Revengeance's system definitely took nuance to get used to. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But even then, I just recently went back and replayed Revengeance not long ago on stream as well. And even then, I was having difficulty with the parry system on that. So that was one factor that kind of like ruined my enjoyment of the game. The other factor is how it ended, and how the kind of like story, because the whole story of Bayonetta 3 is multiverse travel, multi-dimensional travel, where you're going to different kind of like universes that have their own version of Bayonetta in different time periods and different, regions of the world.
To be honest, I'm surprised I managed to avoid that piece of information.
Yeah, this is the first time hearing of it.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's
it was promotional material.
It doesn't sound like a massive spoiler, to be fair. It sounds more like this is the plot of the game, from the beginning.
I mean, I've also not played Bayonetta 1 or 2, at least not.
I need to get around to 2. I haven't finished it yet.
It's one of those games that's been on my list of like to-dos forever, but then it's just never quite cropped up.
But I mean, if you like action games, if you like the Devil May Cry series, it's obviously worth a shot to give it a try. But
I was gonna say, it sounds like this Bayonetta's Nero situation, where it's like, here's a new person that's not Dante, and plays similarly but different.
But here's the thing, I played Devil May Cry 4. That was my first Devil May Cry game, and I enjoyed playing as Nero because his combat style, it's different to Dante's, but it's not alienating. It's actually engaging. It's actually fun to use the Devil Bringer in 4 to snatch enemies from afar and then grab, and then it's kind of like a grab move where you can, when you grab an enemy with the Devil Bringer, you can slam him and do other moves and stuff like that. Viola, however, she is in that role where she is the new character. She is the Nero of this game, but she's not fun to play, and she's also not a very fun. She's not really, like, she's trying to be cool to a point, but it's not working. And then, I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but the ending soured on me of how they want to continue the franchise. If they want to continue the Bayonetta franchise after the ending of 3, I'm not on board with it.
I did see another streamer. I saw the reaction they had to the ending of Bayonetta, and it was a look of kind of disbelief, I would say.
I've thankfully managed to avoid that, so I'm going to continue avoiding that until I get round to it, or I give up trying to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, I won't say anything more than that, but really, the how the new character plays and how I couldn't get into that, plus the ending of the game, that was just that's what kind of like soured it down for me, and put it as my number 5. I still think it was a great game. It's still definitely one of the best action series to rival the Devil May Cry series, definitely. But just the new character I wasn't gelling with, and how the third entry ended brought it down for me. So there you go. That's my opinions on Bayonetta 3 and my number 5.
Okay, so my number 5, as I said, I really struggled with my number 5, but in the end, most of them were remakes, and I usually limit myself to one remake a year. This year, there is no remakes on my list, or remasters. Some of them will get the honourable mention, though. And then there was, I could have had some of the big titles on there, but I decided, you know what? Let's give it to an indie title, because actually, considering it's their first game, it's pretty impressive for a small indie studio to do this. So my number 5 is Raft. You may have seen the LMC team play this on stream. Certainly, Shadow Fox joined us for a few of those sessions. Quite a few of them.
We were surprised to find that it actually officially released this year, because they did their final update.
Yes, they released 1.0 this year. So I had actually been playing it in early access. I don't think I've mentioned it in any of the previous year streams. So our general rule is you can either have it in its early access release or full release, but you can't have it in both because that's cheating. Can't win 2 awards. But, so Raft came out earlier this year. It's a really nice and simple idea. It's a survival game with crafting mechanics. You make a raft and try to stop yourself from starving, from dehydration, and from being eaten by a shark. And you can play it with, I think, up to 6 or 7 friends. You definitely need a bigger raft if you're doing that, though.
I think our raft is plenty big enough. I think calling it a raft is an insult at that point.
Well, this is the thing. As you go through the game and you start hunting out particular locations, you can get more advanced things to make your raft with and build it from a raft to a boat to a ship, and it's kind of cool to see that progression. And actually, that's one of the things I really like. and just the unlocking of like bigger and better things and unlocking the new ways to get materials and stuff is really cool. The cracks start to go when you see what they've tried to do to kind of make this a bigger, more epic game. The ending introduces stuff like bosses and bigger missions, and the stuff the game doesn't really feel like it's designed to handle. Some of the later stages were a bit like, yeah, this isn't what we enjoy about the game.
I feel like it was trying to have its Minecraft cake and eat it.
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's a problem with games where it's just like, oh, you've got to have this build up, you've got to have this big ending scenario, and how do we do that with these mechanics? Like,
the game could have very much have carried on with its mystery theme and been a story revelation. So it could have...
To be fair, I wasn't too bothered by the puzzly bits of the last island. Like, okay, the jumping rotatey machine puzzle was annoying, but it's not...
It was manageable.
It wasn't...
And we figured out...
Yeah, it was manageable.
We figured out how to get cheese it once one person was across to lift up the other. Like, that's something as well. If you're creating puzzles and stuff like that, especially jumping puzzles, having a ladder to kick down for everyone else is like... It's a simple thing, but please, add those. Always add those. Don't force everyone to have to do the jumping puzzle if for whatever reason.
Yeah, the combat is the thing that let it down, and I have a couple of other grievances. I really dislike they removed controller support, but you know what? Overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the majority of the time of my game, and I still play it with a couple of my American friends because we're still very slowly working our way through the game. But I would probably only recommend playing this game with friends. On your own, to be fair, the creative mode on your own would probably be fine. But if you want to do like the proper story mode and stuff, at least take one friend with you, because otherwise dying is very punishing. So yeah, that's my number 5, Raft, and I'm assuming it's not on your top 5, Shadowfox.
No, it was not. It was in my honourable mentions, but it has been mentioned, so honourable, no need, no more. So, I was very much struggling to figure out the order of these, but I think the game I put in number 5 is a similar sort of vibe of a chill game. In fact, most of these are surprisingly chill games for most of the time. And again, also quite indie. And it was a game I actually mentioned on Raft as well, and that was the Hardspace Shipbreaker game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's similar vein as the sort of power wash simulator, viscera cleanup detail. It's like you select a ship, and it ranges in complexity from small pilot, like solo pilot things, to great industrial haulers, all of which still have absolutely hazardous materials on board and like their generators and stuff. So it's like every ship is essentially a puzzle. It's like trying to get the air out of the ship initially so that when you don't decompressurize and send yourself flying into the bulkheads and all that, then it's just like, so you cut this, cut that, tweak this, push this into the furnace, push that part into the recompiler, through this into the item storage. And like there is a lot of fun to just be had with the casual playthrough version. But then there's also the story mode, which certainly will strike quite close to home for a few people, in that essentially it's about unionising and getting better working conditions for you and your fellow workers.
Somewhat topical at the moment.
Somewhat topical at the moment, yes.
Too topical, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've had too many kind of like packages that are like stuck in limbo. Because of it.
Yeah, my issue is more transport than it is packages.
Yeah, transport has been an issue for me. But yeah, so the entire thing is actually based vaguely on the shipbreakers over in India. At the end of the game, they actually say, hey, if you want to see like a real life scenario of this, go and check out this documentary called Shipbreakers. And it's about like how these, like, you know, poverty-stricken people in India are basically going into these dilapidated ships, cutting them apart, salvaging, and it's just absolutely deadly work to them. But some people, this is what all they've known from children, from like childhood to their basically the time they would be retiring, but they can't. So it's got the interesting story to go along with it, and then it also has a sort of a Halloween update with AI controlled ships that are trying to kill you as you're disassembling them. Like,
okay.
It's like they'll like close doors and repressurize compartments and stuff like that. They'll basically try and impede your progress in any way, shape they can, which is a challenge. And I didn't realise that what they were doing to me for the first time, so I ended up dying a couple of times. Of course, in the future, death is no substitute. Your body belongs to the corporate world, and like in Borderlands, the Hyperion regen stations.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of got that dealio. So yeah, if you just want a simple kind of version of Power Wash Simulator, like 3D motion, 3D movement, something different than that, this is very much a game to play. It's just very atmospheric. Just sitting around in quiet, floating around space, some space banjo music going on.
Space banjo.
Space banjo.
Was this a game you played on Game Pass?
It was on Game Pass, yes. Yes, I think that's number 5's done and dusted.
Cool. Well, in that case, it comes back to me to reveal my number 4 for the year. This might be on some of your listings, or maybe in your honorable mentions, possibly. But it's the only game that I got that everyone else did get and have played together, but I've actually been playing on another version by myself and did my own playthrough on my own channel, on my own Twitch channel, and I had a good time because it's a successor to an arcade franchise classic series with that of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
That was another honourable mention.
Yeah, fair dues.
I'm surprised that didn't make your top 5 actually.
Well, I was trying to not do many remakes and remasters this time around.
Oh no, sorry. I mean, I'm surprised it's not on Shadow Fox's top 5.
My top 5. There's basically, I'm going to say, there's like 8 games here that could have been on the top 5.
No, that's fair.
I mean, me myself, I didn't, even though I did play quite a bit for the year to fill up a top 5, there was still a number of like remakes and remasters that I didn't want to put up on there, and I wanted to try to have at least all new entries.
Yeah, that's fair.
Games.
That's why I try and limit it to 1 a year, because if it's all remasters, it's like not that surprising, I guess.
Exactly.
You know what I like.
Exactly, and funnily enough, we did have, for the TMNT license, we had the Cowabunga collection come out after Shredder's Revenge, but I haven't gotten around to playing that at all in any form. So that's still, worth to dabble in whenever I have the time and whatnot. But Shredder's Revenge, even though I was playing it on my own, I still had a good time. I still had a fun time playing through that and hearing the voices of the original 4 turtles, being voiced by the 80s cartoon cast.
Except for poor old Shredder.
Except for Shredder, yes. It's like I've forgotten the actor's name, but I know he played Uncle Phil in
Avery Jones. I feel like it's Avery Jones, but I could be.
I think it's Avery Jones, but it's like he played Uncle Phil in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so it's like.
And sadly passed away. So.
Yeah, he passed away well a good number of years ago. I do recall. So, but other than him passing, I mean, the four main turtles being still voiced by their original voice actors from the cartoon show is still impressive.
A quick interjection. Redaction being made. James Avery, not Avery.
James
Jones.
Avery. Yeah,
James Avery.
But yeah, God rest his soul. But this game, it's obviously done by former developers who worked behind the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. And I think some, obviously it's produced. Well, I say produced. It's like published / kind of like funded by .emu, who were the guys behind Streets of Rage 4, which was a really awesome game, one of the best games of its year.
Yeah, there's a lot of good pedigree behind that game, definitely. And you can tell that they have a love for the actual material itself as well.
Yes, exactly. It's like there's so much love for the property of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in general, not just the 80s cartoon show, which many people would just think it would be only that. But it's got like, like that love for the franchise as a whole, not just the 80s cartoon show and the arcade games that is tied to it and whatnot. Even though that is the main core of this successor, is that it's harking back to those Konami beat 'em up games that is so beloved by many people and whatnot. And this is definitely a solid entry. It's like you can either go alone or you can have up to 6 people in.
We have yet to manage that.
We've got up to I think 4.
Yeah, 4 is usually the good one.
I mean, that's usually the standard go-to.
Yeah, true. But having the option of having 6 is still impressive. It's still fun to kind of like have that as an option. I like it when games have that option to be, slightly beyond the status quo and whatnot. I just absolutely love it. I enjoyed my time with it. I wasn't too frustrated while playing through it either, and I had fun. That's what I definitely like seeing from a game that would get me to put it on my top 5 effectively. Is that, did I have fun with it? Yes.
That's the main metric we think we go by. And I think you're absolutely right. It's like, I mean, we kept going back to it on stream at least, and sometimes off stream.
And we still probably will. We've still got, hopefully, a crossover to do a 6-player stream at some point, but it's getting everyone together is quite difficult.
Trying to herd cats. Yeah, I think the turtles have survived pretty much. I can't say they've had a bad reboot in comic book, animated, or video game form. A few questionable ones, but
I mean, you had a few stinkers, but I mean, the only one I feel as though that didn't go too well was Platinum Games' interpretation of the TMNT. I've forgotten what they called it, but I know that was part of the Activision Platinum Games relationship for the wee while, and not many people liked that interpretation of the TMNT franchise. And I know the reshelled version of Turtles in Time, that was a digital download.
That wasn't particularly well received.
Yeah, many people didn't like that.
People still said the original was better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's had its hiccups, and but it's still in, the conscience of pop culture essentially.
I mean, they're still making new cartoons.
Yes, so. Exactly. They just recently had finished up the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with a huge movie that's on Netflix right now. So, and apparently a lot of people love that. So yeah. So, anyway, that's my 4th entry. Shredder's Revenge. Enjoyed it. Had fun. Wish I would have liked to play it with the rest of the LMC crew, but I have the Switch version because I don't want to have any trouble with the achievements and all that, because I've had my fair share of frustrations with beat 'em up achievements or trophies and whatnot. It's very frustrating sometimes.
You need to care less about achievements because
I'm sorry, it's just in my mindset.
My number 4 is a crossover.
Hey.
And yeah, very well timed because my number 4 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
Wow.
There you go.
So I'll keep this fairly short. I mean, to be fair, I've mostly played it multiplayer. I've done a couple of sessions solo, but definitely it's got the right amount of influence from the old school, but it's got enough of the modern sensibilities added to it and the right ones to go, actually, this is just a nice, chill experience. And if you want to make it difficult on yourself, you can. You can do arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. But you know what? I just want to have fun. Honestly, this is a great one to play with friends. And you never know. We might get... If they expand the crossplay, we'll definitely get Turbo in on one.
Oh yeah. Fingers crossed.
And to be fair, this is one that I'll be just happy to pop back on again. You know, if we do think, hey, LMC, we just fancy a Turtle Night. Sure, we'll do a Turtle Night.
It's in our wheelhouse of ones we could just throw on.
Yeah, and it's a good one-shot one as well, because it only takes about 2 hours to play through the main campaign. So I think the only other thing that I am slightly sad about is I've seen some of the pre-concept stuff and wished a little bit more of that got in. For instance, April used to have a lot more references in her moves, but I suspect the lawyers were like, we might get sued for that, so please take that out. So all she really has is Chun-Li's spinning bird kick.
Really? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of minor ones, but yeah. I mean,
I do know of one that is tied to the Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, I believe.
Game.
Is it a hammer style move?
Yeah, it's like she's swinging in a circle, and
yeah.
Ramona.
That's kind of like Ramona Flowers with her bag.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But no, I know she, like, all of hers used to be specifically references to female fighting characters.
Right, okay.
Because obviously she's a new character, so she didn't have any pre-existing moves.
Indeed.
But, you know, and also her design changed, but I think that might have been for the better.
Really? I like, in terms of, like, design, I thought it was, like, really good. Yeah.
Oh, no, it is. She was much closer to her original appearance, aka the suit being a bit more open, as in the original cartoon. But yeah,
I don't really mind that.
No, I think that was a good decision. I suspect that was Nickelodeon putting their foot down on that one. But no, my number 4 as well, because it was that good. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, short one there.
That's fine. Going in a very different direction for my number 4. It was a game that I can't remember when it was announced, but when everyone saw it, they were like, "Yes, this game." Because it's one of the few games where you get to play as an adorable kitty.
Oh, yeah, this one.
This one. That is of Stray. And when I initially first saw Stray, I was expecting a much more, shall we say, Quantic Dreams style of game, more like a visual kind of story game. You know, walking through a world.
So more kind of like dialogue choices, kind of like style gameplay, rather than what was presented.
Yes, rather than actual gameplay and puzzles and combat, in a way, I guess.
Well, I mean, there's not really much in the way of combat.
No,
you're not scrapping like like alley cats.
No, there's not.
Yeah, at one point.
You get a little light which is used in certain ways. But yeah, I was expecting to be more of a observer in this world of robots. I was not expecting to be a key participant. Just in the story of this game, I was expecting just to kind of be looking around and kind of going, "Oh yeah, I'm a cat. Oh, look at these robots doing cool thing," and watching their story. the fact that it's like you meet, like you explore around, you end up going to fighting people, and then like actually interacting with them. You speak to the robots, or like, they speak to you, and it's like, oh, okay, I can understand them. They want me to do this. Okay, I'll do that. And at the same time, you can still be the cat and just jump on people's laps and knock over chessboards and scratch up the carpet. You do all the cat things that a cat would do, essentially, if you've ever owned a cat.
I was looking at a lot of the social media for, like, from the developers of Stray, and how the two cats that were pretty much the models of your cat character in the game. They were just like posting so many different things, pictures of them in the office and whatnot. So it's obviously they did put a lot of like resources and effort into making the cat in Stray to be as cat-like as possible. You know.
Well, because considering the cat is your main character, it's you. You'd hope that they put a lot of effort into it at least. Of course, the modding community went absolutely crazy with it. Everyone immediately wanted their cat in the game. There was also a Spyro mod, a Garfield mod, obviously, because what cat game isn't complete without a Garfield? The only real gripe I had with the game is similar to Bayonetta in a way, the ending. While it was good and all, the original quest you left out on is undetermined if you succeeded or not.
I get where you are with that. But it's led to I think that ending is more up to kind of like to a matter of perspective of how what people or players would see that ending being and whatnot. And I did see one theory online with a video. It was funny. I only just saw this like in the last couple of days of one theory of what the ending could be for Fate of the Cat that you play as. So I'm not going to spoil that, obviously, because I want other people. I would like other people to check this game out myself as well. But, I'm glad that's in your top 5 there, John. Well, with myself then, it's on to number 3, and number 3. This is probably it was a game that I was interested in. And I did a stream. I did a playthrough up on my stream on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TurboDrive Live. Get that plug. I was like really looking forward to it because it's the first time in the longest time. In fact, probably like the first proper entry, like 3D entry for this franchise. And really, in all honesty, they did a really good job with this one, and that is Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Turbo.
Yes.
Pink boy.
It makes sense that I would have this as one of my entries in this top 5, and it was very difficult because the top 3 here could easily be interchangeable at any point. Like 2 could be 3 and 3 could be 2, or 1 could be 3 and 3 could be 1 or whatever. It's really hard. It's like, trust me, people, it is that difficult for me right now to, kind of like narrow it down to these 3 and where they go in my position.
Especially if they're like very different games.
Effectively,
because, it's like I could have a first-person shooter and a platformer as my top 2, and it's like, well, I like them equally. It's just, they're very different genres. Yeah.
But more on Kirby here. Like, I really loved the kind of like open kind of like levels and stuff like that. Well, I say open levels. I think it's like they are still linear regardless. But exploring, the different levels and stuff like that. It was fun. It was engaging. The only thing that I had an issue with was the end game content. Nintendo has this problem, obviously, where when you get to the end of the game, it's not the end of the game. There's like more to do afterwards, and then even after that, there's even more on top of that after you've gotten that ending. It kind of like over. What's the term? It's like
overstays its welcome.
Overstays its welcome. Yes, thank you. It definitely does overstay its welcome, especially after with the challenge kind of like mode where you go through different rooms of enemies. I think it's bosses or whatever. It's boss rush or whatever.
I was gonna say they normally have like a boss rush, and then they have the true boss rush.
Yeah, aye. And I feel as though that kind of like is a bit annoying because you need to have a specific kind of like abilities, and at that time when I challenged it and whatnot, I didn't have the correct abilities to go into those fights, so that was the only dismay that I have for my enjoyment of Kirby. But even though that kind of like deterred me a little bit, the overall enjoyment that I had with the game itself was really good. I just enjoyed my time with it up to
this
that.
One's definitely on
point.
my to-do list, but I'm way behind on my Kirby's because they've also got the remake of the Wii U one coming out next year.
Yes.
Which I missed originally, so I kind of want to get in on this one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, what was it? That remake is a good multiplayer game. Well, I say it's a good multiplayer game.
Oh no, I've seen a full Let's Play of it, and I agree with you. It looks like a fantastic multiplayer game.
Yeah. But if you're looking for a single-player experience, although granted you can play this multiplayer, I believe that you can play with a second player.
Pretty much every Kirby game you can play with a second character, even if it's a copy ability character.
Yeah, but really, in all honesty, as a single-player experience, it's fun. It's really fun, and I would definitely, if you haven't given it a shot, do give it a shot. It's, definitely it's going to be underwhelmed by a lot of kind of like bigger like titles, especially at the end of the year. But and because this was also a starting year game, because this was like first quarter release, it'll be definitely put under even in its family-oriented category, because there was a lot of other kind of like family-orientated releases throughout the year, and Kirby was right at the start, effectively. So
Nintendo's had a very busy year as well.
Indeed.
We've had Splatoon. On top of that, we've had Pokemon literally just come out. Pokemon almost made my top 5.
Oh well.
Special honourable mention there.
Yeah, fair dues.
That's
but
honourable.
yeah, definitely.
Oh heck, I forgot there's 2 Pokemon games this year, hasn't there?
There was.
Oh yeah, there was shit.
One of them very early in the year that we've all forgotten about, even though I've literally just bought the copy of it in the last week.
Oh dear. Oh well. But yeah,
Kirby's. It's definitely it's definitely on my to-do list, but I'm a little bit like, I've got too many games to play, and the Switch is the console I play the least, so it's on the back burner.
No, I agree. I'm the same with the Xbox myself. But yeah, Kirby. Kirby is my number third pick. Josh Earthheart, what is your third pick?
So my third pick was one that was a little bit of a surprise hit, I guess. It had a cult following before it came out, but then it came out and people were pleasantly surprised, and it kind of spread a little bit. And that is Cult of the Lamb. So Cult of the Lamb is a bit of a weird game to describe. It's half roguelike dungeon crawler and half island simulator thing. Basically, it's half Binding of Isaac, half Animal Crossing. But the problem is both parts of it feed into each other, so they're both core to the gameplay, so you can't do one and not do the other. Resources you gather while in the dungeon are directly used to build stuff and, enhance the lives of people's stuff, and just basic stuff like feeding your followers and stuff. And also you rescue most of your followers while out on adventuring. But then you also need all those followers to build up their praise and love in you and the god that you're the head of the cult for, in order to get better weapons and to be able to progress through the game. So yeah, they're both essential, but they feel like two kind of halves of a game. They don't feel like they seamlessly fit together very well. But it does all work. I definitely enjoyed my time with the game. I played through the entire game in a few settings. Again, it's not a massively long game, but it's one you can quite nicely dip in and out. You can just do a dungeon for as long as you feel like, then go back, sort your followers. I have a couple of niggles here and there. You definitely gain and lose followers in waves because they have quite short lifespans, and they are really afraid if someone dies of old age. It's like, oh my god, what's happened to this person? They've died of old age. It's a natural thing. Oh my god, are we all going to die like that?
If you're lucky.
Yes.
If you're lucky, you might.
I think I only ever had 1 or 2 people die of illness or something, and generally that was because I was away, someone threw up, and then they decided to sleep in the puke puddle, and it's just like, why? Most of them had common sense, but not everyone.
It sounds like a sim.
It is based. I mean, this is the thing. It's micromanaging them was. I probably liked the base building bit a little bit less than I enjoyed the dungeon crawling, and I purposely went with. There's various bits where you can choose between between 2 different perks of a tree line, and I purposely picked the ones that basically meant I had to take care of my people as little as possible. So stuff like, I had this combo where I forced my people to unanimously love me for a period of time, but also that they would not have to eat for a couple of days, which would halve their loyalty, but I would do it while they couldn't lose any loyalty. So it was finding those combos where I can go, and now I can just go exploring for days and I don't have to care about the little shits. But overall, it was an interesting game, and you can continue playing the game once you finished it, which is quite nice. All the dungeons are still open, and they're randomly generated anyway. Your base still, goes on, so you can keep building stuff, you can keep unlocking stuff. And they did do a free seasonal content update. I don't know if you can still do the stuff on that for Halloween. I imagine you can, but it'd be like a toggle on and off thing. But yeah, it was a nice little game. It's hard to recommend it unless you really like the theme. If you like the theme, go ahead and give it a shot. But it's definitely a good game, and I enjoyed it. It's, who do you recommend it to? The people that like base building and taking care of little animal critters, or the die-hard roguelike dungeon fans? Because you kind of need to be both, and there are plenty of people that are both. But I suspect this is a kind of niche title. But if that all sounds great to you, definitely give it a go. If you're not into the theming, because cultists are evil, there's no particularly religious stuff in this. It's just suggestion of a external animal cult, basically. So don't worry too much about it. There's no heavy real world religious themes.
I was gonna say it's all furries. It's
all animals. Yeah, it's like Animal Crossing quite literally in a way.
It is. I think more people more worried about if you're worried about stuff like sacrifices and stuff, yes, you will almost guarantee to have to sacrifice some of your followers to the cult and that kind of stuff. You just have to deal with that if you want to play it. But I very thoroughly enjoyed it. If it sounds interesting to you, definitely give it a try. It's well worth it. So let's go with the Lamb, my number 3.
Hey, I definitely want to check that one out. My number 3 was a game that I just managed to finish getting around to, thankfully, and I continued playing it. All of through most of yesterday when I probably should have been doing other things as well, which is a good indication that it was a game that gripped me. And it's sort of a slightly different take on something that me and you have both had in our lists a previous year.
Yeah, I think I know which game this is, and this is on my to-do list of games.
Is it a game perhaps called Metal Hellsinger?
Very much so.
Very much so, yeah. So, bullets per minute, BPM. That came out and pretty much proved it was the proof of concept of having a rhythm first-person shooter game can work. Metal Hellsinger takes away the rogue-like idea and puts you on a story. It puts you on pre-made levels and gives you everything you need for the story. It's the music in it is absolutely fantastic, and they've even managed to pick up some talent from obviously a lot of the Scandi areas because they enjoy their metal. Surprisingly, a game called Metal Hellsinger has a lot of metal music in it.
No,
Go figure.
I was hoping it would be something like classical Renaissance music,
or BTS.
I mean, with modding, it is possible. They've officially told people how to mod in their own songs, so people have put whatever they want in there.
Ah, yes, Beethoven.
You could. Where was I? Also, one of the guys from System of a Down is in there as well, which is one that will probably be more known to people. So you have a choice of you unlock 6 weapons over the course of the game, each with their own sort of fire rate, and the whole idea is just to keep your combo up, keep your rhythm going, dodge the bosses, shoot the enemies, figure out how to keep your score high. The game is basically, it's just a leaderboard. It's get to the end of the level with the highest score possible. But the combat is it's, as you would probably say from a rhythm game, it's very fluid. You dodge and jump and shoot and dash and everything you need, and if you get it without breaking a sweat or getting hit, your multiplier goes up. As the multiplier goes up, the song gets more intense, the vocals kick in when you get the maximum multiplier, and it just feels like the ultimate version of a Doom game when you're going through and stomping through all the enemies, smashing them up with glory kills and all that, which there are slaughters in this game as well, which are the glory kills, and it just feels so satisfying. It's the perfect combat loop, because when you're doing well, you really feel that you're doing well.
Yeah, I can certainly agree with you on the Doom side of things, and Turbo, do you kind of agree that when Doom gets its best is when you get into that kind of rhythm of just going from one enemy to the next to the next?
Yeah, music in video games is a good factor into setting the mood and setting the tone and the pace of your gameplay when you're in the groove of it and whatnot. And when you hear the music amp up and it's at that great that kind of beat, at that really good beat that you can just gel with, and it just flows with your combat. I totally understand that. I see that with BPM and then Hellsinger here.
Going even further back, we mentioned it earlier, Metal Gear Rising: Rules of Nature.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And that also does the great thing of, hey, you're fighting the boss and it's instrumental. You get to the big point. There's the vocals again, and it's yes, I'm doing good.
I think it does it every time you do a Zanzuken parry as well.
Yeah, we do the Zandatsus and all that. Music is an often overlooked sometimes in games. Good music and good ambience can make a game, and when you put that at the forefront of your game and have just everything and the general technical skills to make a game around that, it can play out really well.
I think the difference is with something like Metal Gear or Doom, the music enhances the action, but it's not integral. But it's definitely, It definitely helps it.
I
massively.
mean, could you imagine, like, you're there, you're fighting Ray, you're slashing its arm up, whatever, running up its leg, but there's no music.
Exactly. But the thing with both BPM and Hellsinger is that music is actually integral to the gameplay itself, and similar to something like Crypt of the Necrodancer,
Yes.
where the whole point of it isn't just to have a kicking soundtrack, it's you've got to get into that rhythm in order to time everything and keep stuff going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really... I can't see a game like this working without, like, a good drum beat going on with it. I feel like that's a very important... To hear the beat and know exactly when you need to be doing things is very important in these games. So the type of rock and metal music fits itself extremely well to this. And as such, the themes of hell and all that. I mean, like, obviously, the story is, of course, hey, you're a Hellsinger. You're someone who can bring about the destruction of heaven and hell. So they took your voice, and as such, the whole game is narrated by the Skull, which is Troy Baker, I believe, with Jennifer Hale as the voice of the judge, who's like the devil sort of stand-in in charge of the hells.
I definitely need to get on this game sometime. It sounds amazing. but
It's
just
absolutely
time.
so I went through the story mode. It has some absolutely fantastic lines like "Lord help heaven" and "When you get to heaven, give them hell." All like the kind of schlocky kind of B-movie kind of lines you get, but you go, yes, this is
as long as they like dip heavy into it, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the weapons, when you like, all the weapons have like a special move. One of them's like these raven claw things you throw. Like when you activate the special on that, you do like the metal horns, and they start spinning around you. Like, it's like, sure, it's kind of it leans into it. It leans into that trope and that lifestyle and goes, yeah, why not? Let's have fun. Because honestly, like Turbo said, fun is where you want to be. That's like the biggest important part of these games is, are you having fun? Yes or no.
Oh god, yeah, and it's obviously going to be slightly different for everyone, I definitely know people who are much more invested in the story of a game because that's what they enjoy. Whereas, certainly from my end, gameplay tends to be more of a king.
Yeah. No, yeah. So I mean, the story itself I finished in like maybe 3 hours, and then I did like another hour and a little bit of the sort of like extra missions. So once you've completed a stage, you can go back and replay these realms and basically get boosters, so things that will make your combo drop slower, or you could take 2 or 3 hits without losing your meter, stuff like that. So the idea is you play through the game, you go back, get the sigils, and then you can go for the high scores. So again, it's another like leaderboard kind of game.
Rather than BPM's roguelike, it's more about perfecting your runs rather than...
Exactly, yes. So you've got a set layout, perfect this. And
just like a proper rhythm game. Because that's the whole concept of typical rhythm games is to,
Yeah,
learn the
DDR
pattern.
and the likes.
Yeah, learn the pattern and perfect it as best as you can.
and I think it does that fantastically. So I think I shall say yes. Again, on Game Pass. So great, go get it.
If only I had Game Pass.
It's also like 25 quid, so it's not that bad.
Oh yeah, no, it's on my Steam wish list as something, and I almost got it in the Black Friday sale stuff, but I'm going to wait till Christmas because I've got... this isn't in my top 5 because I've not played it yet. Return to Monkey Island was also on my... I really want to try and get this done before we do this list, and I have not started it yet. So... Hellsinger is in that list along with it.
Well, definitely get that soundtrack though.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, both BPN soundtrack and
I still listen.
Crypt and Necrodancer has like 6 soundtracks.
It does. I mean, I'm still listening to the BPN soundtrack, so that will be another one to add to my phone to listen to on the way to work.
Oh god, yeah, definitely. I think that's a nice like marker for a game as well. Is like if even once you've completed the game, one of the things you go back to is the soundtrack. That's a sign of you have good memories of the game and you want to relive it just by hearing the game's music.